Ladies and gentlemen, as we have been telling you, as we welcome you back to the show, for the first time since 1979, a U.S. president has spoken to the leader of Iran. And we are joined right now by Seth Cropsey, former Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for the United States under Caspar Weinberger. Welcome back, Seth. Good to talk to you, sir.
And you too, Steve.
Well, I appreciate it. Okay, so let's talk about what we were made aware of just moments ago by the President of the United States, that, of course, he was rejected in his handshaking outreach at the UN on Monday, but he called the President of Iran today and has come away convinced that there's a basis for a resolution over the nuclear conflict. What's your take on all this?
Did he quote Neville Chamberlain?
Neville Chamberlain was the first thing that popped into my mind. The naivete is, to me, unbelievable. But you take it from there.
Well, look, President Obama believes in that everything can be negotiated, and seems to have a soft spot for Iran. And as has been demonstrated by his continued faith, I can't call it anything else, that negotiations will somehow end their nuclear program. They won't. It's really a mistake if the White House is saying that that President Obama spoke with the leader of Iran, because the man who was so-called elected, Rouhani, is the president, but the supreme leader is the Ayatollah Khamenei, and he's the one who really calls the shots.
Well, but let me interrupt you, because, Seth, don't you know the president also, as he pointed out, I believe on Monday at the UN, now points out again today that, hey, the supreme leader issued a fatwa against nuclear weapons. So there's maybe a little bit of Neville Chamberlain again.
Yeah, well, look, the story is that Abraham Lincoln was once asked his opinion about a book he had been given, and he very politely said, evading the question, that people who like this will find this the sort of thing they like. And I think that applies to President Obama and his views on Iran. It's something he wants to believe, and he's going to believe it. So that's pretty much the beginning and the end of this, except what he actually does as a result. But if he believes that Iran is going to stop their pursuit of nuclear weapons because of a few remarks made for public consumption by Mr. Rouhani, then he's making a big mistake, and we'll just have to live with the consequences.
I mean, when you look at what's happening at the same time with Syria, the UN agreeing on a resolution, the Security Council agreeing on a resolution that basically says, okay, with the help of Russia, Syria is now going to show all of their chemical weapons. They've had over a month to move them. Russia gave them probably most of them in the first place. Now we're going to let the inspectors in eventually, and Syria is going to point out all their chemical weapons and give them up. And no threat of military action, by the way, if they don't. But now that's settled. Again, there's no other word but naive to think you're going to trust Assad, a man you call a murderer of 400 children and countless adults with chemical weapons. You're going to trust him now to be honest, to be an honest broker. You're going to trust the Iranians. And let me ask you about this.
Well, wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before you, let me just get in a word here.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't mean to dominate. I just mean
no,
to.
No. I understand, but whether he's naive or not is an open question. There's another possibility, and that is that he simply does not want the United States to use force to resolve this issue, or to attempt to resolve this issue. And that
are we talking about Iran or Syria?
Both.
Yeah, both.
But in this case, Syria.
Yeah.
And that the United States, for the most part, still needs to be apologized for, and that the use of military force is not going to earn us any friends, and in fact, military force should be. The United States should reduce its military force, and that's in fact what the Obama administration is doing. So I don't know whether that falls into the class of naivete. I would put it into the class of a willful policy.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you on that as well. I don't think everything that happens is an accident. We're talking to Seth Cropsey, former Deputy Undersecretary of the Navy and a former assistant to Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger, fellow at the Hudson Institute. We only have a couple of minutes. Let's say, and here's what gets me, and let's say that, okay, Barack Obama believes the Iranians on this. What about, I mean, they're a terrorist nation. They support terrorism. They are Hezbollah. I mean, all that goes by the wayside?
No, it doesn't go by the wayside.
I mean, in his view, in the president's view.
I don't know. There are some people who continue to insist, many of them former diplomats, that diplomacy can resolve everything, and that the Iranians have been conservative and have not really come out of their box in a serious way, and that somehow or other Iran can be contained, much as American policy sought to do with the Soviet Union. I think that's a mistake, but I think that's also the way President Obama looks at the issue.
All right, Seth, really a pleasure, and thank you. I know it was last minute. Thank you for taking the time to be with us, sir.
Nice to speak with you again, Steve.
My pleasure. We'll do it again. Seth Cropsey, former Deputy Undersecretary of the Navy and former Assistant to Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger, fellow at the Hudson Institute here on the Steve Malzberg Show. No, yeah, I mean, you know, don't get me wrong. I don't believe Obama's a stupid man. I believe there's a plan here, and I think we've seen it in Libya. We've seen it in Egypt. We've seen it in Syria. And, you know, now we're seeing with Iran. He's figured out a way here, possibly, to kind of let Iran get their nuclear weapons or proceed and make it look like they're not. Anyway, that's just one man's opinion, and we value Seth's opinion as well. We're coming back, Spinning the Law with Kendall Coffey on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve